Hello all, Jamie Rodgers here from Craftmania, and today I'm bringing you a brand new die of the week. Now, whenever we bring you a die of the week, we bring them to you on a fantastic deal. And if you haven't seen our previous dies of the week, do check them out too, because a few of them are remaining in stock, but I'm going to be honest, not many, especially last week's. Last week sold out very quickly. We know how much you all love a Spellbinders at a bargain price, and that one blew out of the door. This week we are bringing you an incredible die by Sue Wilson, and we are looking at, it's a festive die. It's the Denise set from the festive collection, and there's 6 dies in here. But although I'm telling you it's a festive set, have a close look, and we will look at this in more detail. But actually the only festive part about this set is the snowflake in the middle. And the snowflake in the middle is completely separate. So if you take that one out and actually look at the dies themselves, you can see you can be using this all year through. This could be coming in for every single occasion you create for, whether that's birthdays, baby cards, Easter, whatever it is you want it to be, just leave out the one snowflake and it's good all year. But the ingenious bit, pop that snowflake back in the centre of that lovely sort of panel, and we have got ourselves an incredible festive die set that is absolute amazing value and perfect to work with. Now on the inside of our set, Sue has also popped a few little bits of ideas for us, 4 different cards in there to give us a bit of inspiration too. So not only on today's video will I share with you 7 ideas, there's another 4 inside the packet, so you've got 11 ideas to take and work with however you wish to. Now then, price wise, this die should be £14.50. That's its honest recommended retail price, and if you have a look around, that is what everybody should be stocking it for, £14.50. Our very silly price point here at Craftmania, as this is our die of the week, is £6.50. So you're saving £8 off of the recommended retail. So you're saving more than you're spending. You know, if you've been watching my videos, I love to shop like that. If you can work out that you're saving more than you're spending, to me, you're in a good place. And this is one of them times. So make sure you grab this, get it really quickly, because if you know with our dies of the week, they sell out and then we can't get no more and you miss out. And we don't want you to miss out. We want you to get hold of this one as soon as you can. So we've got them in stock. They're ready to ship. Talking of shipping, again, you might be new to us here at Craftmania. I talk as if you all know who we are. I'm not sure a lot of you do by now, but in case you don't, because of this is over £5, and I do literally mean £5, you will receive free U.K P&P. So when we say £6.50, there's no hidden postage charge. There's no add £4 on for delivery. £6.50 will get that to you at your address in the UK, completely free of charge, just £6.50, and it's free your door. If you live internationally and you would like to order this die, then sadly we can't go as low as free, but we do keep it as low as we possibly can do. And for those who are shopping internationally, we cap our P&P at just £10. It's the most you will pay. If it's over £10, you don't have to worry. Here at Craftmania, we will actually pay that for you. If it's lower than £10, we will refund that for you. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I can't think of many that have gone through under £10. To be honest, UK postage is creeping up to nearly £10. So I'm sure to find international under £10 is proving rather tricky. But that's a good thing, because that means here at Craftmania, we're footing the bill for you. So just like we do for our free UK P&P, we try and pay the P&P for all of our UK customers so that you don't have to foot that bill. Who wants to spend money on postage unless they have to? So with our internationals, we try to be as fair as we possibly can, and again, shoulder a lot of that financial burden for you so that you can spend more on crafty goodies. And especially when we're looking at a die like this one, it's a great place to be spending your pennies. So let's delve in and have a little look through our wonderful die, have a little look at all the layers, and then I'll show you 7 samples that I've created to hopefully give you a bit more inspiration. So with this set, you've actually got 6 different dies. Now that gives us so many options. Let's actually have a little delve into these, shall we? So we start off on the outside with an outside edge. Now this is brilliant because this is a separate edge which means we can cut our mats to go underneath our filigree panels. We can also use this to cut apertures and then sink these panels on the inside of them, along with a whole host of other ideas. We then have for you our delicate frame die. Now we've seen that the outside blade is separate, also the inside blade is separate. That means that we can take this panel, we can cut this into our cardstock, and that will literally stay there as you see it. And that's really beautiful because it means it could be on the very front of our card, and it's going to open up this sort of aperture frame that you could then build your design around as well. If you want to, of course, you can bring in the outside edge and you can cut that free of your cardstock instead, and it will have a solid middle. So maybe you wish to use it for journaling in a scrapbook album, or you wish to build up on top of that and create that as the back panel to your scene. Absolutely great for doing so. Equally, we can bring in the inside blade and we can trim that out. So again, maybe on the front of your card, you wish to cut this in, take out that middle panel and actually hang something through there. Maybe especially if we go this way, you might wish to take advantage of these two holes at the top and the bottom and make one of them like spinning elements, or you could hang a little bauble in there. Of course, if you wish to, you could create a bauble out of our upcoming snowflake die and separate outside edge, and then that could flick round as they open the card, which could be really effective. So many different reasons that you might wish to cut out the centre of this one. Again, as a scrapbooker, I love the idea of cutting it out and then popping photos on the inside of it too. You can of course bring in that outside edge and the inside edge, trim that out and then have that as a separate frame as well. So again, lots of options. From there, moving down in our die set, we've then got this panel. Now this one is very similar to the outside in the same sense of there's no attached outside edge and there's no attached inside edge. So everything I said you could do with this one, you can of course do with this one too. But just like when we spoke about this one, we have these separate edges. So again, maybe we wish to use this outside part, maybe we wish to bring in that circle, and we can cut that out just like we was the other ones. Equally, if we wish, we can leave out that square and we can cut that part onto the inside of that panel, and suddenly we've got a much lacier panel. We can also bring in this snowflake that I flashed a little while ago, and you could cut that in, and that again will stay in your cardstock if we remove the outside edge as a filigree panel, or we can pop that place back into place and it's going to cut it out as a freestanding item. Of course, you've still got these areas here, these two different panels that can also come in and cut out, which means you could then cut and stack this and build it up. So 6 dies giving you an awful lot of options on how you're going to be playing around with this. And then size wise, to give you a bit of an idea on size, because again, big value for money here going on. This is 10.5 centimetres. So when we look at this, and I'm not good at converting, but I'm pretty sure we've got about 4 inches goes into 10 centimetres. So it's fractionally over 4 inches, 10.5 centimetres if you prefer to work in centimetres. So big size die to be working with here. And at only £6.50, we're paying what, about £1 something, £1 and a few pennies per die. That's incredible value for money. And again, posted to you at that price. You're not even paying out for P&P if you're here in the UK, and capped at £10 if you're one of our international customers. So let's have a little look at what we could be doing with this, because that's what it's all about, isn't it? This is the fun bit of the die of the week. It's about bringing you that inspiration, sharing with you what you could be creating. So here is our first card that I've made. Now I have had great fun playing around this week making our die of the week samples, because we're building up quite a collection here at Jamie Rodgers Crafts of different items to play with alongside our die of the week. So I've brought in my classic poinsettia, and I've added that on the side. If you've not seen this die already, it debosses these beautiful patterns in as it cuts out, and you've got a few different flower heads and sizes to play around with and build up. I've then added in the Gracious Leaves from the Essential collection. Now, not a Christmas die at all, it's designed to go with our Forget-Me-Not, but I felt that worked quite nicely with our poinsettia. We've then got for you, of course, our Denise panel, which is the die of the week that we're looking at. Now, this one has been cut and layered. I've obviously brought in all of these layers and I've cut them out with the outside edge, but not the inside edges, not this outside circle or this outside square. And I've cut them into a piece of white card and had that as my top layer. I've then used just the background panel to cut this out of our brand new blue mirror card. And this is something I've really enjoyed playing around with. I love that shimmer and sparkle. that Miri can give. It's really lovely, isn't it? So I've put that underneath this layer. I've also used it in my mats and layers. I've also used our Jamie Rodgers Craft Silver Miri card to build up in a couple of places too, and just really to match in with the gems. I've then used our foiled inkables. Now these are a great panel that you can work with, and these come in circles and squares in gold and silver. So I've gone for the silver squares, and I've used that as the background to go underneath our Die of the Week panel, and just built that up. I've used our sentiment stamp to add on the Merry Christmas, and I've stamped that with a blue Emperor quick dry ink pad. So we've really played around with quite a lot of different items here to build this one up and create it, but very easy and very effective to do, and that little shimmer really makes that sort of pop. Showing you a completely different idea. Now I know many of you have already added Rodney to your collections. Rodney has just recently launched last week to all of our stockists at Jamie Rodgers Crafts, and of course one of those is Craftmania, so we of course have got Rodney available for you. Now Rodney is a clear stamp. He comes with a few little snowflakes and a couple of little sentiments, but I've stamped him and I've coloured him in mostly using alcohol markers, and I've added in a couple of additions with one of our lovely glitter pens. Now again, if you've not seen these on the website, these are amazing. So they're a glitter brush pen that you simply squeeze in the middle to add in your colour or add in more liquid down to the nozzle or to the brush point, and then you can go in and colour with this as you wish to. With actually quite precise detailing if you want to really add in that little piece of sparkle to your projects. These are so beautiful to work with. And when it's dry, you can see that I've used that on Rodney's scarf and hat to add in that little detail of shimmer. In the background, underneath our Rodney here, we've got our lovely banner that I've stamped on using our sentiment stamp. And below that, obviously, we've got the Die of the Week. Under there, we have got our snowflake stencil, which I've added in the diamond white texture paste, which again is a really lovely sparkly white glitter texture paste that I've used over the top of the snowflake stencil, added on a little ribbon and a couple of mats and layers, working mostly with our seashell blue cardstock to build that one up. Then if we move on, we'll have a little look at this one. So this one again brings back in that classic poinsettia, this time working with our brand new red Miri card and our green Miri card, and teaming those with, of course, our gold Miri card, which has been out a little while now, and of course available at Craftmania. I've stamped my sentiment on one of my little sentiment bars that comes in with my sentiment collections from Creative Expressions, and I've added in a couple of little pearls to go around the edges, added the red berries onto the green die cuts over the holly, and matte and layered in the red and the gold Miri card to match in. Now this is what I mean about leaving this as a solid, instead of where on the previous one we'd cut it as an open, and on the one before that we'd use the layers in here to cut that as a filigree. So one die giving you so many different ways in which you can use them and build them up. Then moving on, let's have a little look at this one. So this is a lovely one, this is pretty. So this time I've cut all of the layers out of white, again removing the inner circle and the inner square, but keeping in place the outside edge. So I've got this cut out. On the layer beneath that, I have taken our seashell blue card, and same for the one under here. On this one, I've stamped it using our Snowflake DL stamp in the Emperor Blue ink, and with both of them I've added on a self-adhesive sheet and sprinkled some iridescent glitter over the top of it to make my very own glitter card out of our seashell blue card. And I really like stamping them before you add on the glitter and the self-adhesive sheet, because you still see that stamping come through, but it again gives you that really shimmery finish because of the glitter. Again, very easy to do, very simple, just being built up, playing once again with our blue Miri card, our silver Miri card, and of course just layering that up with a little banner and a stamped sentiment. So already 4 very different cards created all out of our Die of the Week. Now we spoke about leaving these die cuts in the card. So when we look on this card versus the last one, with this one we used that outside edge. We brought this panel in and we've cut that with everything in the middle, so it's free of the cardstock, giving us this style. This time, instead of doing that, I've left this one out, used all the same elements. So again, leaving out the inner circle, leaving out the outside square, leaving out the shape around the side of it, and cut this instead into one of Sue Wilson's Noble dies, which is one of the pierced squares. So I've got this pierced effect going around the edge of it, giving me this wider edge and cutting that into it, and then foam padding this again on top of some of our seashell blue cardstock, and then just layering between the seashell blue and the polar white to create this multi-layered and dimensional effect. On the front here I've added Thinking of You, which has been stamped in our elephant grey of our quick dry pigment ink pads, and again I've used that on one of my little sentiment tabs, which is something I really love to do. Bringing in our next card, so going slightly darker here with our colour schemes, but bringing in the glitz, bringing in the glamour. This time I've used the snowflake stencil in the background, and I've used it with the argentite from the gemstones texture paste. These are our glitter texture paste, and hopefully on this one you can really see that sparkle. They're beautiful. Such dimension achieved as well. Really, really pretty. On the front here I've built up with my layers from the die of the week, using the outside edge and the inside edge to cut the top ones, and then again doing the same but taking out the filigree panel to make a backing in Night Sky Navy. For the next layer down I've cut the insert pieces without the outside edges in the silver mirror card, and then I've foam padded between the layers to build that up. I've then also brought in our classic poinsettia. So again, seeing this die used many times actually. If we look through the 3 different cards that we've created, all with that die for this week's die of the week, you've got the mirror card version, which of course is very blingy. You've got the more stripped back white version with the sort of central bling. And then of course we've got this one, multi-layered and rounded version, but one die, same die, creating all 3 effects. Also on this one I've added on the Christmas wishes stamp onto the little panel and just foam padded that on and finished it off with a small ribbon running around the edge of it. Then for our last card, if I bring these back in, so there's our first 6. For our last card, we're going to focus down on the insert panels. So you don't have to use the outside all of the time. You don't have to go big each time. So I've gone for these pieces. And I absolutely love this frame. This is really pretty. And again, as a scrapbook, quite a nice size to use and sync photos in and make up really cool backgrounds with, or with little photos, little headshots maybe in the centres of them. Could be really fun to do. But this time, of course, I've used the snowflake to make it a bit more festive and of course fit in here with our Rodney stamp, which is coming up on the next layer. I also created this card in this sense because I wanted to share with you how easy it would be to make this as a DL card instead. So this time I've used the outside layers as I held up to make the outside pieces, and I've used the snowflake on the insert to actually cut in and stay in the cardstock to make the silver ring that goes underneath them. On the inside, I've then stamped Rodney, so Rodney's been stamped on here. He's also been coloured in again with one of our lovely glitter brush markers, and he's also had a bit of loose glitter put on with some glue to give him some extra sparkle on them white sparkly areas. I've also used the stamp which comes in with Rodney, this lovely corner stamp, just to go around the edges of the insert panel, and on the outside I've added "We've Loved This Christmas." And that gives you all 7 of our examples for this week's die of the week. Now I hope you'll agree that they're all very different in style, and I have stuck predominantly to a Christmas theme, but so easily you could take this die, especially when we look at this panel here, and take it off on a more everyday route for any occasion that you'd like to be working with. Just by leaving out that snowflake is going to change completely how you're going to be using this die throughout the year. So if you've fallen in love with this die as much as we have, you now need to know where to go to get it. So pop on to www.craftmaniacrafts.com. When you land on the website, whether you're on a mobile device or on a computer, you will find a menu bar. It'll either be a drop-down one if you're on a mobile device, or one that runs all the way across the screen if you're on a computer. And on that menu bar, wherever it may be, you will find a little tab that says Die of the Week. If you give that a click, it will take you through and you will see all of our recent dies of the week laid out for you. And you can click the one that we're talking about, which of course is this beautiful one by Sue Wilson. You'll see that pictured, give it a click, head on through to that page. And on that page, not only will you find this die of the week, you will find all of the items that we have been talking about. I mentioned this earlier, but everything is on that one page for you. So you can find it all very easily without having to hunt through the over 10,000 items that we stock here at Craftmania. If you have any questions, then of course you can pop them in the comments and I will do my very best to answer them for you. And if you're struggling to find any of the bits we've mentioned, let me know and I'll pop a link through to you as well. Thank you so much for watching this week, and I look forward to seeing you all again very soon for our next video. Bye for now.